How's it going, folks, and welcome back to Alpine. This is the third episode in 3 days. I hope you've been enjoying the videos. I hope you're going to continue enjoying them. There will be another one tomorrow if this video hits, I don't know, let's go big. 2,000 likes in the first 24 hours. It's up. We're at Baku. We're heading to Azerbaijan. It's a pretty entertaining race usually. I'm hoping it's going to be entertaining for the right reasons in our case. Let's see how we get on, shall we? I feel like Baku is a track that when it was first introduced to F1, a lot of people, myself included, we looked at it and went, it's just got loads of long straight bits and some tight corners, and it's going to be boring, it's not going to be very good. I feel like Baku, for all its flaws, has produced some pretty entertaining races for the right or wrong reasons at times. In Formula 1, teammates going into each other, looking at you Red Bull, Hazes hitting walls under safety cars. Who knows what chapter we're going to be adding to the Baku story today as we head to Azerbaijan. In terms of our car, we have got a new front wing available. I don't think I'm going to be manufacturing it for this race specifically though. It is going to add a little bit of improvement to acceleration and medium speed cornering, which for Canada will actually be quite nice. This is a decent upgrade to come in at a good time. But at Azerbaijan, top speed is king, low speed cornering is king. That is a problem for us because our low speed cornering isn't the best. Ultimately, the performance gains we're going to get through this front wing don't really warrant rushing it out. So with that in mind, we are going to manufacture some of these new wings. You can see it's going to take 3 days for each to be made. Canada is in 7 days, so we can get one for each car made in time for then. So, well, with that in mind, we're going to kick off some manufacturing, get this front wing ready for Canada. That will be a useful upgrade. Obviously, not so useful here and now. In terms of sponsor targets for this weekend, I think being realistic, we have top speed. We don't have the best low speed cornering. If we could get 2 cars into the points again, that would be good. I feel like that's become the baseline performance for us. So, yeah, with that in mind, when it comes to qualifying, aiming to get 2 cars into the top 10, we are definitely the 4th best team. I want to believe that by the end of the year, we could be the 3rd best team. But the Mercedes car is very good. They did gain that extra point over us at Monaco. And unfortunately for us, their car is quite well suited to Azerbaijan. Comparing Alonso's car to Lewis Hamilton's here, you can see whilst we do have a small top speed advantage, they have us beaten on acceleration, and their low speed cornering is, I want to say, kind of superior. It's not kind of superior. It's just better. So if we can keep tabs on them today, maybe going into Canada, that track will suit us that little bit better. So Baku is a super high-speed circuit, which I guess that works okay for us, but ultimately it's a track where safety cars are going to happen, incidents can happen. It's probably not going to be the most straightforward of weekends in general. But at least for practice, we're going to keep it straightforward. We're going to continue to do our thing. Piastri is going to be in car 1, Esteban Ocon in car 2. I'll join you guys for qualifying. Just a mo. So practice sessions didn't exactly go the best. You can see Alonso and Ocon currently outside the top 10. I'm hoping that once we get on track, once we have obviously our proper race pace, we're going full beans, we can improve a little bit. I want to let you all know I'm a changed man. For this race weekend, I thought we'd try it out. I simulated each practice session individually whilst tweaking the setup between. As a result, Alonso has 88% setup confidence. Ocon has 93%. And I feel uncomfortable. These numbers are far too high. Maybe it can make a difference in qualifying. If we finish outside the top 10 now, I'm going to believe that the setup stuff is a load of nonsense and I'm never going to try it ever again. I just want a nice clean session. No rain, no drama, no crashes. Please, thank you. Amen. See you on the other side. Okay, qualifying at Baku. Let's see how we get on here. Not really sure what to expect from this session. Ultimately, usual strategy. I think you know the deal by now. Wanted to get an early time set in Q1. As we went out on our flying laps, you can see Alonso coming up behind the back of a McLaren. I think it was Danny Rick. Good news for Alonso. He cleared it. Slightly less good news. Ocon wasn't quite so fortunate. I feel like Esteban Ocon really has got unlucky with the traffic in general. He didn't lose a ton of time here, but it was enough to warrant him having to go out and do a second time. And to be honest, when the times came in after this first set of laps, I kind of realised the scale of the task, shall we say. This long straight at Baku, an area where, to be honest, we weren't losing that much time. But after the initial runnings, Ocon 0.6 of a second down on Alonso. And by the time everyone had done a run, Alonso was up in 5th. There'd been a little bit of traffic playing, I suppose, havoc to the rest of the session. Ocon up in 9th, but we knew we were going to have to go out again. We were going to have to improve our times. The good news here was both of our drivers did improve their times. I sent Ocon out first just to make sure he didn't get compromised by any yellow flags. There was no traffic in the way. He went quicker, but not a massive improvement, only as high as 9th. Alonso, on the other hand, he was able to climb up to 5th. And of course, we just needed to be in the top 15 here. And as the final few times came in, it was relatively comfortable. I think it's safe to say 8th and 11th. Max Verstappen going fastest. Of course, Red Bull really struggled last weekend at Monaco. They had a disastrous qualifying. They were going to be looking to do better in this session. And while we were going to be looking to do better going into Q2. As these initial times came in, fortunately for us, clean laps to kick things off. It turns out that when there's 5 fewer cars needed to be on the track, you can find that little bit of open air more easily. However, not so good news. Kevin Magnussen faster than Esteban Ocon after the initial run-ins. In fact, Kevin Magnussen in the Haas faster than Lewis Hamilton as well. And it did mean that when it came to, well, going out again, we were going to need to improve if we wanted to get through. I sent out Alonso and Ocon ahead of everyone else. Ocon took the lead on board with Alonso here. We can see Ocon just up the road completing his lap. And with that lap, he improved, but he did not improve his placement, still in 10th. And now we had to hold our breath and hope. Alonso could only go 7th fastest. Plenty of cars that have been pretty quick so far this season coming through. Mick Schumacher, could he match his teammate? Also in the Haas. Magnussen up in 8th. Mick crossed the line but could not go better than 12th. Zhou, the next driver to potentially leapfrog Ocon, who is right in that danger zone in 10th. Zhou went quicker, but not quick enough. Valtteri Bottas, though, has done better than his teammate so far this season. How was he going to do when he crossed the line? Well, I'll tell you how he was going to do. He was going to pull a rabbit out of the hat. Up to 7th. That relegated Ocon out of the session. And while Daddy Rick was able to go 14th quickest, fairly inconsequential in terms of our session. But yeah, Ocon knocked out. He was slow. And in fact, after this session, I went and looked at the sector times. We were losing so much time in Sector 2. We were a little slower in Sector 1 as well. The low-speed cornering, especially through the castle section, an area where we were losing time. Going into this session with Alonso, I was kind of beaten up at this point. I've realised that realistically, we weren't going to be challenging near the front. If we could make it not 10th this session, that would be considered a win. And well, when the initial times came in, 1.3 seconds slower than the Red Bull in clean air. Had a bit of a decision to make on whether or not to take new tyres. And well, you can see here, as we were about to start our flying lap, I made a decision. We were trailing Russell quite a long way, and I felt like maybe if we got a slipstream, maybe it could help us out. And well, if you don't know, if you take over your kind of driver's controls during qualifying, even if you set them to the lowest speeds, they still go quicker. But what we did here was we kicked off our flying lap with Alonso a little bit sooner. My hope being here, get behind Russell, use a bit of a slipstream, try and, I don't know, get catapulted up the road. It felt like a bit of a long shot, but I was looking for any little advantage we could get. Ultimately, I think with this idea, probably not the worst idea, I think we went a tiny bit too soon. You can see Alonso did have to slow down a little bit too much. And the Mercedes in front just almost a little bit too close in front of us. I don't think it was a terrible idea, as I said, but it just didn't quite work out. And you can see by the end of the lap, Russell had pulled ahead of us. 2 yellow sectors. We weren't going to go faster here. The gamble, it hadn't worked out, but ultimately it didn't cost us in the end. Both Mercedes faster than us, Bottas faster than us. We weren't going to improve here because of those sector times. 9th was the best we could hope for. The only silver lining in this entire session, really, Magnussen couldn't improve his time. We will start 9th. And, well, despite Alonso having his fastest time of the weekend so far in Q3, it didn't get us any higher than 9th. The sponsor objective not met. I was disappointed. It could be a tricky race. It's probably going to be a long race for us. We don't have that pace in the first 2 sectors, but anything can happen in F1. Let's hope that anything that happens works out in our favour, shall we? P11, P9. Not the best positions to be starting in. Has to be said. We've got to take some risks with the strategy today. With Alonso, given the fact he's starting a little higher up the grid, we're going to play things safer and go with what the game considers strategy A. That is a medium-hard setup. You can see here kind of the 2 leading strategies are the one-stoppers. My plan really here is to try and make the tyres last as long as we can. Maybe hold out for a safety car and switch onto the hards. In all reality, if a safety car comes in from lap 15 onwards, we'll probably look to pit early and get on the hards and try and, just make them last to the end. I've seen the AI make hard tyres last from lap 1 on this track all the way to the end. When we played it over on Twitch, which, I mean, if you don't know, I stream this game, twitch.tv/workthespace. We're playing with Haas. We had a red flag on turn 1. and I saw the AI run the hards for an entire Baku race. So, you know what? If a safety car happens mega early, maybe we'll try something truly audacious with Fernando Alonso. As for Ocon, he's going to get a little bit punchier, a driver who's usually quite good on his tyres. With that in mind, I'm going to give him permission to get aggressive. We're going to go with a two-stopper initially. However, if we decide at some point that maybe the two-stopper isn't working, I think he could make the hards last longer term. We can kind of make a call in the later stages of the race in terms of what perhaps the best of those two options is. But leaving our options open, leaving our doors open, I think that's the name of the game today. We've got to be reactive. We've got to be ready for anything this track throws at us. And well, with that, that is our car strategy done. Let's get to the race. Let's get some points. Let's... Flexibility, the name of the game today. This track is unpredictable. It's a little bit relentless at times. And well, I think I'm ready to race. So, shall we get to things? Let's do this.
The drivers have now taken position on the grid, and it's looking like a cloudy day. Looking here at Fernando Alonso. They might not be in the top 3 spots, but things could change fast once the race gets underway. Further back, we've got Esteban Ocon. They're starting in the bottom half of the grid today, so there's a lot of cars between them and the podium. And we're just moments away now. Here we go, with the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. It's lights out, and away we go.
Okay, folks, buckle up, get comfy. This is a race that can get a little bit chaotic into turn 1. Of course, this opening sector, lots of straights into very sharp, slow corners. Cars lock up, cars can have incidents. What I will say is it's looking like a fairly clean start. Esteban Ocon trying to make the move stick on Kevin Magnussen in that Haas, which had a fantastic qualifying session, but Ocon has managed to clear him there. Our driver's now running in 9th and 10th. Maybe Alonso going to look to have a go up the inside of the Alpine, running that softer tyre. He is going to have a look. He has made that move work, and we've got a red flag. Lap 1. What happened here? I said it could happen. I said it's possible. And there is just a Haas off the track, and then I'll tell you what, a few have gone into the back of one another. I do not know what has happened there, but the track is obstructed. We have our first red flag of the series, and for non-F1 fans, you might be sat there thinking, what does this mean? What's going to happen? Well, the race is basically paused. Everyone returns to the pits. We are given a time period to prepare for. We get a free change of tyre if we want it, and we can make our one mandatory pit stop here. Now, I said it before, I've seen the AI go on hards to the end at this race. Now, that is a strategy that for the entire race running them on hards is kind of difficult, but it's tempting. We are going to be changing our strategy quite a lot here. I mean, I actually say that. No, we're not really changing it. We're going to stay on the same set of mediums we're already on. We're going to go on to the hards. It just feels different because I imagine everyone else around us is now going to divert away from this plan that I kind of want to stick with. It's going to be very, very close, I feel like, with Esteban. Given the fact that he's got really good smoothness, I might stick him on hard tyres to the end. Could he go the entirety of the race without making a stop? I've seen this done before by the AI. It didn't really work out for them on all the drivers. But Ocon, he's a smooth operator. He can make his tyres last. That's the changes I'm going to make. And I've just noticed here, Magnussen, the driver that we overtook, is the man out of this session. We were so close to being caught up in all that mess.
Race here resumes as we get back underway.
Okay, take 2. We're going again. Red lights are up.
And it's lights out, and away we go.
Tsunoda did get a penalty for his role in the incident with Magnussen. I don't think it was actually his fault. I think he unfortunately just made contact where he couldn't really help it. Either way, both our drivers now going to be changing things up. Looking at it, everyone has gone onto the hard tyres, except Alonso. We are going to have to stop with Alonso again. I have a sneaking suspicion we are going to have to stop again for probably hards to the end. But these cars are all going to have to manage their tyres so much. And, well, for ourselves, we are going to be able to get punchy in Alonso's case. He is going to be allowed to get aggressive. There's lots of margins in these tyres. I realise that whilst we're racing, we perhaps should just evaluate things here. So, if we just edit this strategy, if we are on ultra conserve with Ocon to the end, we can make these tyres last. That is basically the plan right now. That's it. I'll be honest, it doesn't look that good as a plan when I see it there. As for Alonso, can see, obviously, he is currently on the medium tyre. He was going to run the medium hards. I think that is the strategy we are going to stick on. Ocon, of course, like everyone else who's pitted for hards, is going to have to babysit these all the way through the race. He is just going to have a race of just holding position. He's currently an 8th. He's doing fine. Hopefully he doesn't get overtaken. Hopefully he can stay where he is. As for Alonso, well, he's going to get on the attack. He is going to get on the aggressive here on these medium tyres. We can afford to burn through them a little bit, but there is going to be a little bit of management involved. With everyone around us having to conserve massively, Alonso should be able to get plenty of moves done, especially with DRS enabled. Whilst we're not the fastest race car, I think in these circumstances we can be fast. Of course, the big thing for us is we've got to make it through all these cars and then create a gap for ourselves to pit and come back into. We are going to have to stop again with Alonso. No one else on track has to. Alonso with a couple of cars in front of him. Of course, the Ferraris and Red Bulls leading the way. They are that faster car, but with the help of DRS, knowing that they're conserving tyres and that we're going to get aggressive, I want to believe that we might be able to make some moves over them. In an ideal world, we clear all 4 cars ahead of us and vanish up the road. I realise that is probably going to be a tall order, but we have to be going quick. We can't afford to get stuck behind all these other cars because ultimately, our entire race is going to depend on creating that gap to pit back into. Right now, though, 5th place for Alonso, 8th place for Ocon. It's undeniable. We've improved from where we were previously. Ocon versus Mercedes. You can see Ocon just didn't have DRS on the cars in front, and with that, George Russell able to make the move. So right now with Alonso, he's managed to break DRS on Gasly behind with that time there over a second. Right now, I just want to be charging the battery, putting us in a position where every lap on this straight we can deploy and hopefully go past all these faster cars. I think without a charged battery, it's going to be very, very difficult to make the gap up that we need to make here to make, well, the space for that pit stop that we have to do. Of course, we can see with Ocon how marginal this entire race is going to be if there's no more safety cars and no red flags. Everyone is going to be struggling at the end. Do not be surprised if some of the AI just realise they can't make the softs work and then look to pit at the very end. Unfortunate news for us, Ocon has just been dropped by Bottas. Bottas has managed to get up into 9th. Of course, we were struggling for pace here. We started in 11th. Magnussen, who retired, one of the cars who started in front of us. So Ocon back where he started. I'm going to have to up his tyre usage a little bit. But I know that by upping that, we're going to be very, very tight at the end of the race with these tyres. I feel like I'm playing a long game here with Ocon. I don't know if the long game's going to work. I am trying to make these tyres last to the end. I'm going to have to hope that all these cars going past us are going to have to pit. I want to make no further stops here. Like I said, I just have to hope that everyone else shreds through their tyres and is forced to pit. Or maybe come the end, when their tyres are gone, you know, it's like the tale of the tortoise and the hare. Ocon is the tortoise. He's going very, very slowly. He's managing his hards as long as he can. I suppose there is a temptation with him to go aggressive, try and make some moves and just plan for another pit stop. But I think if we were going to go for that, we probably had to commit to it already. As for Alonso, you can see here, he is dropping behind Perez a little bit. Perez is getting DRS off signs further up the road. And with that, it's very, very difficult to catch the 4 cars in front of us. But what I will say is, at least right now, if we look at lap times, we are lapping significantly faster than the cars directly behind us. Okay, Alonso is right up behind Perez. Perez is going to have DRS, but he is certainly in striking distance this time around. 0.3 seconds behind. We are going to go deploy on our battery. The gap to Gasly now up to 2.5 seconds, and it looks like Alonso has got the pace here on these medium tyres. They should be a little bit faster than the hards. Is he going to be able to make the move stick around the outside of the Red Bull? He isn't. There is going to be DRS for this next straight, though, coming up. After this corner, another DRS zone. I think Perez is also going to have it, but I'll tell you what, with Sainz moving across the road, that might just work out perfectly for us. We're able to clear both cars. Alonso moves up to 3rd. He's now, what, 1.7 seconds behind Leclerc, but we are going to continue to push, continue to deploy. By the time we get to the home straight again, we really, really need to be in DRS range of Leclerc. Otherwise, we're going to be looking over our shoulder. As Ocon has made a move on Norris to get back into the points, which we love to see, we're hopping on board with Alonso, who is still deploying his battery. We've burnt through it more than I would like, but you can see Sainz, who we overtook earlier on in the lap, 2.3 seconds behind us. With these tyres getting aggressive like we are certainly quicker than those around us on the harder tyres, that they are just going to be nursing to the very end. Alonso has a date with destiny. He's going to have to be fast on the tyres. Like I said, we are going to have to pit. Other people aren't. A move here on Charles Leclerc would be massive. You can see the fastest part of this track. It is scary how quick the cars come into this first corner. He can't quite make the move work. What I will say is he's just got the fastest lap of the race, a 1:47.1. Everyone else around us going up to 3 seconds slower. If we can do that for a few more laps, we will have plenty of space to pit into. Esteban Ocon battling away with Norris, and then suddenly Zhou Guanyu comes from absolutely nowhere on the outside. He appears from out of a tree. He makes the move work. This trio having their own little battle. We won't really know if we're approaching things right with Ocon until later on, but expect to see him exchanging positions with this lot for, well, the foreseeable future. Lap 12, Alonso just 0.8 seconds behind Leclerc, who does not have DRS than the race leader in Max Verstappen. Of course, Verstappen had an awful weekend in Monte Carlo. Sainz, down in P4, won't have DRS, which is good, but we have used all of our battery here, really, really pushing. We have to make the move this lap, otherwise we could be looking over our shoulders rather than looking forward. And unfortunately, the DRS here does not kick in until now. It's a long, long straight, this one, at the end of Baku. Sector 3, it's just a long straight line. Can Alonso make something work here? He's going to have to leave it very, very late if he's going to make a move. He did think about it for a second. Realised that there was a bit too much ground to clear up and make up. Maybe one last little opportunity here. This straight here is the second DRS zone of the lap. And Alonso did get a very, very good drive out of the corner there. We are pushing hard on these mediums, but I'll tell you what, he has made the move work. We are going to need to harvest just a little bit now. Max Verstappen, next car up the road, 1.8 seconds ahead. Slightly paranoid that on this straight, with harvest on, we are going to struggle to fend off Leclerc behind, especially because he's right up behind us. We overtook him last lap. He has not appreciated that one little bit. He's maybe going to try and have a move on us here. We spent half a lap charging. We can now go into neutral, which I'm hoping is going to be enough to fend him off. As Leclerc is chasing away, maybe going to look to have a go up the inside of Alonso, is he? Alonso holds it just about on the outside there. Still a second chapter to this battle, though, because there is going to be DRS, and I think Leclerc actually is going to have DRS here. Indeed, he is. He was behind at the detection point. By the time they exited the turn, he was ahead. And unfortunately, with that place that we worked so hard to get is gone a matter of laps later. Esteban Ocon doing his thing, going around the outside of Zhou, who's already been overtaken by Norris as well. None of these cars really pushing here. They're all just tiptoeing around. The good news for us with Ocon is he has got maybe a tiny bit more life than everyone else around him. The not so good news is there is still, what, 36 laps left of this. A weird race. Normally in F1, everyone's trying to go as fast as possible. Today, everyone's just trying to make their tyres last, except Alonso, who is just pushing and pushing and pushing. Gasly is 9 seconds behind us as things stand. That gap needs to be bigger in order to give us a chance to pit and come out in 5th. And I'll tell you what, we've managed to charge our battery a little bit, keeping it in neutral. We're no longer going to run out, and with that move there, we are back up to 2nd. Have that, Leclerc. I say have that, Leclerc. He's right behind us still by 0.1 second. Is he really going to go up the inside here? Is he really going to try this? Shah, what are you doing, son? That's not a place to make a move. Alonso holds on to it for now. Alonso, of course, pushing his mediums and pushing hard. Leclerc has got to be more mindful. Just looking at the last lap times, you can see Alonso a 1:49.6. A little bit quicker than those around us, but we are losing time battling away with this Ferrari. Zhou has overtaken Ocon, but that's not why I'm here. That's not why I'm talking. I'm talking because Leclerc is right up behind Alonso. I just can't break DRS on this Ferrari, even on some hard tyres that they're trying to manage. They're making them work, and it's a little bit frustrating to deal with. Of course, we're going to have no DRS, no drag reduction system from Verstappen, who's 2.5 seconds up the road. Leclerc has got DRS here. His flap is wide open. What I will say is he is running out of space on this straight to try and make a move. If he's going to go for the attack, it's going to have to be an absolute dive bomb. He can't quite make it work, and what I'm quickly realising here is I don't think we're fast enough to drop Leclerc. Maybe it's in our interest just to work together. In one DRS zone, we'll let him go past us. If he wants to go past us here, that's fine. We'll then overtake him back on the next straight. This can be a mutually beneficial relationship, I feel like. So we have just entered our pit window with Alonso. We have been overtaken by Leclerc, but as you can see, They're doing their little buddy system. Alonso's now going to have DRS here. Leclerc's going to help him out. It's all fine. Just looking at Alonso's current tyre wear, we are going to have to pit on lap 22. That is pretty much guaranteed. The hard tyres do have a little bit of life in them at the end, or at least that's what's projected. As for Ocon's tyre wear, it's pretty much exactly where we thought it was going to be. It's still very, very marginal. It's still going to be very, very tough to make them last, but yeah, I think it's our best plan with him right now. He's currently in 11th, still battling with Zhou. Norris has vanished up the road. If we just look at the tyre wear, though, Ocon is definitely doing a better job managing his tyres than lots of those around him. I could go one lap further with Alonso here, but Sainz is right behind us. I think he's going to pass us. We are having to manage these tyres a little bit. I'm going to pit a lap early. We've definitely got the scope to do this. Apparently, we're going to come out in 9th, so we'll come out, what, just around Norris, probably? The good news is, with fresh hards, we will be able to push. And, of course, as we try and get through this pack who are all managing their tyres, we will have DRS to make things work. But from 3rd place in this race, Alonso is going to pit. He is probably going to be the only person to come into these pits today between now and the end of the race, unless, well, a few of these teams around us realise they can't make the tyres work, which we are going to hope is going to be the case. Otherwise, Ocon is going to be in a whole world of trouble. Alonso makes his stop. He is going to come out. These hard tyres now set to last us to the end. We can get a little punchy on them. And in terms of where he's going to come out, the predicted exit was going to be in 9th. He's actually come out in 7th. So that is a really, really good lap for us. We are going to hit deploy here just to try and get ahead of Bottas this lap so he can't attack us with DRS. Looking at it, he hasn't got DRS here because of where the detection zone is and where Alonso came out. So yeah, a big lap here for Alonso to clear Bottas if possible. The next car up the road for us is Hamilton, who's 5.5 seconds ahead. So Alonso, he needs to get going. So Alonso has managed to build a really, really good gap to Bottas, which is what we wanted to see. Hamilton's still a few seconds up the road as we approach, well, half race distance. As for Ocon, he has burnt through his tyres 34% so far. So if he continues at his current rate of wear, we're going to be left with 32% left. And if we just compare that to those around us, we are down in 13th now on 65%. Those around us definitely getting through their tyres a tiny bit more. As things stand for us, Zhou, Ricciardo and Norris, all people who we were racing against at some point, have gone off ahead. I feel like a bit of a distance runner at this point. I could chase the pack who are setting the pace. I don't think it's a pace that they can maintain. I think our best bet really with Ocon is just to try and perhaps get into DRS range of the guys in front, which we might not be able to do this lap. But if we can get into DRS range, maybe they can just give us a little helping hand, getting around that track that little bit quicker without having to lean on the tyres too much. Mick Schumacher is the man breathing down our neck. He's a little bit accident prone in this game, so ideally we get away from his front, because all it will take is for him to lock up and Ocon could be in the kind of bin on turn 1. And the last thing I want to see in this situation where we're trying to play a long game is Ocon in the wall. Feels like a little while since I said this. Esteban Ocon has made up a position. We were hanging behind Danny Ricciardo just a little bit. We have made the move. Zhou Guanyu is the next up the road for us. We ideally just want to stay behind him and keep DRS. We are managing our tyres slightly less with Ocon and asking him to push on the fuel a little bit more. There's been a crash on track in Sector 2 though. What's happened here? We're all still racing away. Someone has had a moment. Leclerc has crashed in this race. Is he going to have to pit? He's coming through the castle section here. The high-speed area of the track coming. And I'll tell you what, he's just lost the rear. He should be able to get back on the track and be okay. Question is, has he got damage? He's now got his teammate Sainz right up behind him as well. The two Ferraris doing battle. There is a civil war brewing. As that's all going on, Ocon's just lost 2 places in the fracas. Still going to just manage his tyres as best we can and also try and manage his fuel. And elsewhere, it's all kicking off. Alonso's in 7th. He's been hunting down Hamilton for a while. This might be the lap where we get into DRS range. I'm going to deploy just for the last moment here to try and get into range for this straight. Hamilton on those hards that he's been on since lap 1, since the red flag. He is going to be trying to make them go to the end. Of course, Alonso on these fresher hard tyres. This move here would be for net P6 in this race. You can see the wear here. Ocon looking pretty good in the grand scheme of things. Less so in terms of position. As for Alonso, he has done what's been asked of him so far. If we could make the move here, it'd be ideal. There's been another incident somewhere. And as this is all going on, as we're about to make a move, a VSC is called. There is a virtual safety car. Everyone is now set to be at the same speed. Everyone is basically given a delta to perform to. And it was Max Verstappen in the lead of this race who's had a moment. He was running in first. Max Verstappen, has he just hit the wall here? He's hit the rear, hit his nose. Has he got damage? Is he going to have to pit from the lead of this race? He has managed to get the car back going. Leclerc's only 3 seconds behind him. Sainz is just behind as well. It is all kicking off here. I'll tell you what, Verstappen has got damage. He is going so slowly here. Alonso is up to 6th. He is right behind Hamilton as well. I am still pushing on the tyres. We can't officially overtake yet because the VSC is still active, but what we can do is just keep our tyres warm and just keep as close behind Hamilton as we can. In passing Verstappen, Hamilton lost, well, some time, and in fact, Verstappen is absolutely tumbling here. They might even look to retire him. Surely he is going to have to pit. The VSC is still active. There shouldn't be any overtaking going, but when, well, Verstappen is struggling like he is, all the other cars can. And looking at it, Verstappen has got damage. He has got to come into the pits here. That is going to change things at the front. Okay, the VSC is ending soon. With all the incidents, the entire pack is so much closer together than they were previously. Of course, Ocon has got to manage his tyres, but we did use this VSC as a chance to charge up our battery. Hamilton, we actually made up 0.4 seconds on during all of that. We're only 5 seconds behind Leclerc, Sainz, Perez, Gasly and Hamilton. Of course, with the VSC, they were able to save their tyres a little bit. But suddenly, the race win could be on after Leclerc's spin after the VSC with a back marker Williams in the way as well here. I think it's Nicholas Latifi who's now going to block us and ruin our, well, hopes of getting past Hamilton there. It's all kicking off. It's all gone absolutely madness. People often ask me, Jack, do you record these videos live? Yes, I do them in one take. I record them live. If I ever make mistakes, I can only hold up my hands and apologise. I assume that you could understand after the last few laps that we've had why I might be losing my mind slightly. This has been absolutely bonkers so far. Since the VSC, we have been stuck behind Lewis Hamilton. Of course, DRS not enabled for 2 laps. And without that DRS, we are just struggling to get things done. I'm trying to be patient. We're just recharging our battery right now, tailing Hamilton quite comfortably. The difference in tyre wear is monumental. Alonso is really going to have permission to get punchy and get aggressive. Ocon, you can see, compared to those around him, has good tyre wear. I'm just going to hope that their tyres drop off before the end of the race. I'm going to go deploy here. I want to believe that this could be the lap that we make something happen. We are right up behind Hamilton here, who is going to have no help from Pierre Gasly in the distance. DRS is about to be re-enabled. Can Alonso make something happen against Mercedes, our big rival in the championship, of course? Heading down this straight, full speed for both cars. He's going to pull out to the right-hand side and try and make the move around the outside of turn 1. The battery is in overtake. He is pushing as hard as he can. Can he make this move stick? Hamilton has the inside line. But with it, he is going to clear him. He is going to make that move work. And he is now going to look to pull away. We have to look behind. Mercedes are going to now have DRS, because it has now been these 2 laps. But it looks like Fernando is just about going to hold on to his position. And with that, he is in P5. Gasly's just up the road. The 2 Ferraris are wheel banging at the front as well. They're only 5 seconds ahead of Alonso as things stand. They are going to have to manage their tyres. I feel a bit guilty for Ocon. We've not really talked much about him. He's currently running in 14th. He is in a little bit of a train that's being led by Zhou. There is going to come a point where we have to push on our tyres perhaps a little bit more. You can see here, just looking at the tyre wear, especially the likes of Norris and Zhou, they have eaten through their tyres that little bit more. I'm going to have to hope that they fall off a cliff of performance when they hit that 30% threshold. I'll tell you what, the cars in front are managing their hearts. Alonso is not. He is on the hunt. He is on the prowl. He is already in DRS range of Pierre Gasly as we approach Sector 3 here. And I'll tell you what, Perez is not that much further up the road either. We're going to go on to deploy here, try and get the best run out of this final few corners that we can into the straight. With the help of DRS, I feel like this move on Gasly may well be possible. Are we going to be able to make it happen? Buckle up, we're about to find out. 0.7 seconds the gap, but DRS about to be enabled. That icon there flashes green. We're going to close the gap. We might have to be a little bit patient here and just wait until after turn 2, the second DRS zone. Alonso thinks about having a move, decides better of it. Gasly, by the way, we've not really talked about him. He had a sensational weekend. He was so quick in qualifying. Really, well, doing stuff for the AlphaTauri that his teammate Tsunoda has not been able to do. Unfortunately, on those old hards, on those tyres he's managed, he's not going to be able to make it work. Alonso suddenly now up to P4. Next up, Perez. I said next up Perez. I did not think that we were going to be this close to Perez. We are lapping so much quicker than those around us. We are lapping a whole second faster than Perez. And we're going to have DRS on him. We are closer to Perez than we were on Gasly previously. I don't really want to go deploy on our battery right now. I think if we stay in neutral with the help of DRS, if we can't get the move done into turn 1, surely we can get it done into next lap. It is Fernando Alonso. He started down in P9. He was brave with his strategy, pushing on these medium tyres. We've done our pit stop. The VSC definitely helped us. Verstappen crashing helped. Leclerc spinning helped. It bunched everyone up close together under the VSC. And we have capitalised on the badness. We have definitely been a beneficiary. We now have DRS on Perez. And if we make this move here, which we are almost certainly going to move to, we move up to third. And Sainz and Leclerc, 2.8 seconds up the road. They're squabbling with one another, the Ferraris. They might be better off just telling their drivers not to fight. There's still 14 laps left of this race. Alonso's got these fresher tyres. He's going to be able to push on them. And to be honest, when I look at Ocon, we can probably get a little bit more aggressive on him. Esteban, making a move here, getting on past the McLaren. With this now up to P12, we need to clear Zhou, and then unfortunately for us, Norris is a little up the road in 10th. We have to catch Norris. With that in mind, it's a bit of a gamble. I have already told Ocon just to push on these tyres a little bit more. Our wear is better than those around us. I'm afraid I missed it. Blame the cameraman. Ocon has got past Zhou. I think Zhou does have DRS here, though, because of where the overtake happened. So Ocon is going to need to get a little bit punchy here. Maybe get his elbows out just to fend off the Alfa Romeo, which is a fast car. Looks to have gone the inside of us. There's still going to be DRS to contend with. And, well, as much as I want to focus on this battle, as we're now going to try and catch Norris at the front, I probably should be watching what's going on with Fernando. Fernando, what's the situation, my friend? I'll tell you what the situation is. He has caught up with the Ferraris. His tyres are in a great little position. Their wear is at 36 and 37%. They are going to be struggling so much in the tail end of this race. And I'm starting to realise that actually, with Ocon, the best course of action might well be, now we're in 11th, just to conserve things. As for Alonso, he hasn't stopped. Well, he has stopped. Everyone else hasn't. He doesn't need to be cautious. He can push. He can attack. Both Ferraris ahead are going to have DRS, which might just keep them out the clutches of him. But with the current tyre situation, as soon as these hit 30%, Ferrari are going to be in trouble. Everyone's going to be in trouble. Is everyone going to be able to make it to the end on these hards? It's going to be very, very close as, oh my word, Fernando Alonso with a dive bomb from absolutely nowhere. Gets past Leclerc, and suddenly we're in touching distance of Sainz. We have battery to spare. We have DRS. We have been brave. We pitted midway through this race for the hards off the mediums, and with that, Alonso takes the lead of this race. Oh my word. Our batteries are in a great position. Our tyres we maybe need to manage a little bit more than we have been. Aim of the day now for Alonso just has to be to get out of DRS range of the Ferraris behind. Try and extend the gap a little bit. Ocon, unfortunately, has run out of battery. Hasn't managed to break the Zhou train, who is just breathing down his neck. But the gap to Norris is closing down. And we're about to hit a moment where a lot of these cars running the hards are going to drop below 30%. And when that happens, there's going to be a dilemma for the other teams to make. Do they pit? Do they get fresher tyres on? Or do they just try and see it out to the end and hope that the time lost on worn tyres isn't too severe? Half a lap ago, Alonso made the move on Sainz. Alonso is now 2 seconds ahead of Sainz. Nothing going on there. It's not like we're using the battery crazily. We have got the higher kind of, fuel usage on in terms of we're being more aggressive on the throttle. But we are on for a race lead here, and I don't see a world, unless Alonso absolutely bins it, where we do not win this race. The big thing now is, how many places can Ocon make up? What could happen here? There is a yellow flag ahead. I think there is a car in the wall. The last thing we want is a safety car. There has been a crash on track. I've just seen a bit of debris fly up there. I think it was Latifi in the castle section. Latifi, of course, he had a moment in Monaco into this castle section, one of the most scenic bits, and he's gone splat there, hasn't he? Breathe a sigh of relief though. No safety car, no red flag, no VSC. If anything happens like that, teams might take an opportunity to pit, because if you pit with a safety car out, if you pit with a VSC out, it's a less expensive pit stop in terms of time, because everyone else is going slower. Pushing a little harder on the fuel just to try and keep in DRS range on the Alfa Romeo as well. Latifi, who's trying to make his way into the pits, having hit the wall, is going dangerously slowly down this straight. This is very, very dangerous. I'll tell you what, he nearly took out one of the Haasers there. That could have ended in disaster. He's already in last. They're going to pit him. He very nearly messed up a lot of other people's races there. Look at this tyre wear. So many cars opted to put on those hards at the red flag. Sainz has now hit that 30% threshold. This is where you really start to see a performance drop off with the tyres. With Alonso, he just has to be sensible to the end now. He just needs to do nothing too crazy between now and the checkered flag. 8 laps left. Ocon has been dropped by Zhou, but Zhou's tyres are about to hit this cliff face. Keep a very close eye on the lap times in the next few laps. Ocon's big strength in his driving is his smoothness, his ability to make tyres work, and this is a race which I think is either going to prove that to be a key element of his game, or maybe make me realise it's something we shouldn't rely on too heavily. Everyone else around him has been eating up their tyres, but their times are still quite good for now. 30% is when you start to see drop-offs. Anything below 20, we should be a beneficiary. But as I'm uttering all these words, it's kind of inconsequential, because Danny Ricciardo's now just passed us, and his tyre wear is only 33%. We're really looking up the road at Norris, who's currently in the points going round turn 1, and hoping that his performance is just going to fall off a cliff face, and that the time that we are saving, or rather losing out on by saving tyres, is going to be made up with longer term. This is like the story of the tortoise and the hare. I'm just not sure if the hare is going to fall asleep at the finish line or not, or if the turtle is just going to be slow. I've said turtle there. It is tortoise, or is it turtle? Alonso's now 7 seconds ahead of the Ferraris, but with 3 laps left, the gap to Norris is still pretty big for Ocon, and I kind of just have to up stuff and hope we can make some moves stick. Unfortunately, Danny Ricciardo and Mick Schumacher are definitely causing us some issues, limiting our ability to clear this traffic. We're currently running down in 14th. This game of patience really hasn't worked out. Whilst the tyre wear is looking pretty awful for everyone around us, the performance drop-off hasn't been quite as severe as I was hoping. We haven't got DRS just yet, but we are looking very, very pacey down this straight. Ocon in P14, he needs to make some moves. He needs to make some that stick. Is he going to be able to get past Danny Ricciardo here going into turn 1? The answer is no, and I feel like for Ocon, even if he makes a few moves, it might just be too little too late. 3 laps left of this race. Alonso is still running in the lead. He is all on his lonesome. You can see his wear is at 36%, so I have just told him to ease on his tyres a little. Sainz is 8.5 seconds behind. The 2 Ferraris are continuing to squabble away. Alonso just has to be sensible on his tyres. As for Ocon, 14th still. I have told him to get a little more aggressive on his tyres, but unfortunately, it just feels like we're stuck in a load of traffic and unable to make it through. You can see kind of the time differences here. Carlos Sainz lapping over 1.5 seconds slower than Alonso. I've got to hope that that same effect is felt by perhaps Norris up in 10th, but I think for Ocon, the chance of points is probably gone, even if he can clear this lot like he is right now. He's having a battle with Mick. It's not for points yet. He needs to get his race on between now and the end. I don't want to say I'm starting to believe. I am starting to believe. Esteban Ocon is going quick. Everyone else, they've hit that 20% mark and they are slow. And we are suddenly behind Zhou, who's 8 seconds behind Norris. But with DRS here, I mean, could Esteban make a miracle happen? It would be absolutely insane if he could even snatch away 1 point. I feel like I'm so fixated on this battle for a single point, completely ignoring the fact that Alonso is 10 seconds up the road as things stand. He is just doing his own race. It feels like a foregone conclusion at this point. He's only going to have 1 lap of the race left. He is about to get us our first race win, and I just want to see Ocon try and get past Zhou here. And in the lap and a half that remain, maybe, just maybe, hunt down Lando Norris, who's 9 seconds up the road. Ocon, you have to make the move here. It's perhaps now or never. Going to try and make the move perhaps up the inside. Turk's up behind and he just can't quite make it work. I can't believe I'm saying this. Last lap of the Grand Prix here at Baku. Alonso is 10 seconds ahead. He is running his own race. We have got, well, the ability just to tell him to chill out a little. I will encourage him just to deploy and dump what's left of his battery life. He is 10 seconds clear of the Ferraris. This one stopper, it was a little bit brave. Perhaps it was a little bit stupid. But to be fair, the moves that he made early on to make it through the pack were key. You know, he didn't get stuck too long on his medium tyres. And then, well, Max Verstappen crashing, Leclerc spinning out. All of that has played into his hands. But he has driven as perfect to a race as you can expect. Despite Norris's tyre wear now being down at 17%. I don't think it's going to be possible for Ocon to catch him up and ultimately secure points. But you know what? We'll take a moral victory if we can make the move on the Alfa Romeo. Esteban Ocon trying to make something happen here. Up the inside. Can he make it stick? He's really going to try and make a move here, is he? He's going to hold on as tight as he can.
DRS is disabled.
Is he now going to be able to stick it through this next section? If I'm not mistaken, Joe is going to be the driver with DRS. He has that flap open, and with it, that straight line speed difference is just too much. For Esteban, we are not going to be scoring points. We just have to accept that now. But you know what? Does it really matter at this moment in time? We could fixate on Ocon all we want, but we shouldn't do that because Fernando Alonso, he is about to cross the line. He is about to win our first race ever as Alpine manager. Did it take a little bit of luck? Yes. Did it take a red flag on lap 1? Yes. But let's not take it away from us. That was a phenomenal drive, capitalising on other people's mistakes and securing us 25 big ones. If I'm not mistaken, he also had fastest lap. Down the home straight, we come here with Ocon. He's still battling with Zhou. Both their tyres are now hit below 20%. Is there a chance of a late move here? There's no battery. There's no tyre life. There's no points on the line. He gets absolutely nothing. But it'd still be nice to see him make up one last spot on the line. Unfortunately, it's just not meant to be. If only we'd put Esteban Ocon on the same strategy. If only we tried to do what we did with Alonso with Ocon. Maybe, just maybe, he could have been on the podium too. But we had to split our strategy. We knew that both were a little bit risky for different reasons. And you know what? I could reminisce and complain and wonder what if about the Ocon situation. Let's not get preoccupied by that. This has been a massive, massive race. Ocon in the end here, unable to make up that spot on Zhou. He has to settle for 12th place. But does that matter? Not one little bit. Fernando Alonso is a race winner. I'm sorry to Esteban. You are yesterday's news. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Give it to the man of the moment. 40 years old, Fernando Alonso. He couldn't win at his home Grand Prix. He's won here in Azerbaijan. A weird race, a wonderful race, a brave race, might I add, as well. The VSC helped us. Max Verstappen hitting a wall helped us. Leclerc did us a favour as well, battling away with Sainz. And Fernando Alonso, the wily old fox, is going to hoist that trophy aloft. Some of you might be wondering, Jack, why is the podium music not going to play? What's happening? It's copyright in it. Can't have it. Sorry. Oh my word, let's not let it take away from the moment, as awkward as this cutscene is. We've just won a race in Baku. We have just won a race as Alpine manager in our first season. And it wasn't straightforward until, well, towards the end where it felt straightforward. A crazy, crazy one. And, well, hopefully the first of many. So here are the final standings of that race. There was very few changes amongst the cars at the very top, with the exception of Verstappen dropping down 6 places and Alonso going up 8. Of course, all the cars stopped once. Just a lot of them stopped under the red flag and decided to take a very, very long risk. The difference in times that Alonso is able to put in just pushing on the medium tyres. He got a 1:46.8 right at the end. Verstappen on the softs didn't actually get too close to that either, although I did notice I think his tyres were a little marginal towards the end. As for Ocon, well, we tried to go slow. We tried to play patient. It didn't really work. In hindsight, if we'd stuck him on the same strategy as Alonso, it could have been an even bigger day for us, but that is all very easy to say in hindsight, isn't it? Still, though, crazy, crazy race. In the Drivers' Championship, Fernando Alonso goes up 3 places into 4th. In the Constructors, we leapfrog Mercedes. 26 big points earned. Ferrari continue to extend their gap over Red Bull. Last weekend for Red Bull, it was their own errors in qualifying. This weekend, I don't want to point fingers. Max Verstappen definitely threw away this race. Just before I forget, we did get a development point on Piastri. That is going back into his smoothness because 52 smoothness is potato. I hope you enjoyed the race today. It was a pretty crazy one. Next time out, we are heading to Canada where it's a wet race. Yeah, yay. I'm going to pack my umbrella. I'll hopefully see you guys next time for that one. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Do hit a like on it. We've got to hit 2K for another video tomorrow. I want to play more of the game. You want to see more of the game. Hopefully, I'll see you then. And other than that, thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for enjoying the video as always. I'll see you again very, very soon. I'm out.